This is Sue Maloney with Global Software, and I'm very excited to share with you today a presentation on how Liggett Group has saved hundreds of hours using Spreadsheet Server and some of the other global software tool sets to be more efficient in their processing. I'm pleased today to have with me Kathy Farmer from Liggett Group. She's a Senior Solutions Architect, along with Caitlin Gill, my coworker here at Global Software. Both of us work in the Solutions Enablement Department. So just to give you a little bit of insight as to who we are, Global Software, we're a global company. We're based in Raleigh, North Carolina, and have been in business for over 40 years. In addition to the Raleigh office, we have offices in Seattle and New York, London, and in Perth. And that just gives us the flexibility to better serve our 5,000 customers in over 120 countries. Our focus is to use Excel, Microsoft Excel, to automate some of the things that you do every day, and we are considered the #1 provider of automation solutions for Oracle. So just to get you started in some of the things that we do with Excel, we feel that you should start in Excel and stay in Excel because we can allow you to be a lot more efficient in doing that. We don't want you to have to do any copying and pasting of data or export of data into an Excel spreadsheet. Rather, we'd like to use our Spreadsheet Server Excel add-in to be able to directly connect to your Oracle environment, retrieve the data automatically, give you the ability to drill down into the details, and see not only your general ledger balances in detail, but as well as any areas of your Oracle environment and beyond Oracle. Spreadsheet Server does give you the ability to create ad hoc reports, as well as to use our Distribution Manager solution, which allows you to share those reports on with whoever you choose, and gives you some flexibility in how you do that and what kind of data that you might want to share with them in those spreadsheets. I always like to talk a little bit about some of the things our customers have shared with us. We've had a number of customers share with us the number of hours that they've saved over a year's time, and Lasco Distributors is one of them, in addition to Liggett Group. And also that, not only are we focusing on Excel, but we're looking at real-time data, and the Raleigh-Durham Airport Authority has seen a huge benefit in doing so and getting that real-time data from Oracle in Excel and having the ability to refresh it. And lastly, U.S. Magnesium has also seen a huge benefit and continues to recommend Spreadsheet Server onto their friends and other acquaintances. So that's always a big benefit to us. I'm going to turn it over to Kathy now at the Liggett Group, and she's going to walk through some of the things that she's experienced in using Spreadsheet Server. As we go through this presentation, there is a Q&A box, and please feel free to insert your questions in there as you have them, and we'll go ahead and address them throughout the presentation. Kathy, whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you. My name's Kathy Farmer. I have been with Liggett Group for 12 years now. We started using Spreadsheet Server right at 2 years ago now. We've seen multiple benefits, which I'll let you know about here in the next few minutes. But a little bit about Liggett Group itself. It was founded in 1873 as Liggett Myers. It's a tobacco company. Its headquarters are in Morrisville, North Carolina, and the manufacturing plant where I preside is in Mebane, North Carolina. Our national brands are Pyramid, Liggett Select, Eve, and Grand Prix, among others. So some of our main pain points is here at Liggett, we were noticing a lot of our employees were rekeying data from the Oracle system into their own spreadsheets. And so not only does rekeying data having to go into Oracle, and then people would be writing down, instead of downloading from Oracle, but they'd be writing down the numbers or data that they needed out of Oracle, and then they'd open a spreadsheet and put their data in. So that was time-consuming, but it was also prone to manual error input. you know, transposing numbers or what have you. So when we started looking at Spreadsheet Server and some of the processes, we noticed quite a few people were doing that. I knew one or two people were, but it seemed like a lot of our employees were actually doing this. And they were sharing spreadsheets between each other because, you know, like the manufacturing people might have access to the manufacturing module, so they'd have to put their numbers on a spreadsheet to send it to, say, the planning department head. So with Spreadsheet Server, we just now have live real-time data that I just write a query, it comes onto the spreadsheet, and everybody has access to that information all at once. Nobody's keying in data. We're just writing a query and sending it right into Spreadsheet Server. The lack of access to real-time information, I kind of said a little bit about that. We actually have we use the Spreadsheet Server profile scheduler so that every half hour we are taking the real-time information from our WIP, and which is work in process, and it's going onto a spreadsheet that we actually have in on our network share drive for the personnel that need to have those numbers. Doing so, personnel gets to know what's running, how efficiently it's running, when to move the raw materials to the machines, when to order, when to do the changeovers on the machines, what we have in finished goods at any particular time. So it's very useful to a lot of different people. The other one is the heavy reliance on IT to create our edit reports. We do not have a data warehouse, so yeah, some of our Oracle reports are taking hours to run, especially at month end for the finance folks. We had power users that just wanted to be able to query specific transactions, but again, without a data warehouse, they were having to churn and churn numbers. Now they actually get it much faster and real-time data. We also had a request from managers that were having to go into Oracle and go through, you know, 3, 4, 5 screens just to drill down into what they specifically wanted to see. You know, when they went to like a account and then they had to go into the cost center and so forth. So that is some of our main pain points when we first started out. Some of the application uses, the main one that we have really been using a lot here is for our payables, and I'm going to give you an example of that in the coming slides. We also have some report assets, fixed assets reporting that, you know, where the manager can just look at all the fixed assets. He can look at depreciation, when the asset was put into service, when it's retired, if it's capitalized, if it's CIP, whatever. Also, we have a use in production, and that was what I had been talking about earlier, when we can just query the WIP transactions and have real-time data, and that goes right into our planning of our finished goods and our raw materials. Modified custom Oracle reports. There's one specific one that we used. There was the journal entry details. I think it used to be called Journals 180 char on Oracle. When we went to document repository, which is SharePoint in our case, a lot of these Oracle reports wouldn't fit nicely into a document management storage. So, you know, I was trying to go into Oracle reports and you know, reduce the size of columns, and then it was almost like you couldn't see anything. So putting them on into spreadsheets and then sending them right into spreadsheets or right into SharePoint without anybody having to do anything. We also, you can define the parameters you want to see. So, you know, whether it's posted or not posted, the accounting period, the source of the journal entry. So that was a big one for us. The other thing is that we, as a company, became under FDA a couple of years ago, and so now we have to track everything by lot number. None of our reports really had anything to do with lot number, so a lot of reports had to be changed, and it was good that we had the spreadsheet server so that we could just, you know, do a lot of reports and get those lot numbers on for trackability. Again, I told you that we went to SharePoint so that we could get rid of some of the paper. We, you know, had just so many file cabinets just jam-packed full of invoices. So what, the first thing we ever did in Spreadsheet Server was to create a an attached image query. So now we had the invoice as an image that we can store in a SharePoint because we didn't want to store anything in an Oracle database. I think anybody that does have an Oracle database knows we don't really want to put all of that attached documents into a database. So what we do is we create a URL that will link it to the document. One of the other features of Spreadsheet Server that we are using is the write back to Oracle, where we can actually populate the URL that's in SharePoint, and we can put that through this Oracle write back, we can actually populate the URL into the attached documents on the invoice in Oracle. And I will have screenshots of that so you can understand what I'm saying. We're able to run it as a query in Excel, which I think the demo will probably show you that you don't always have to run a report. You can just use anything as just a query. So if you had an invoice number and you just wanted to see what it will actually show the image of the invoice, you can just type it in as a query and not have to do an entire report to find that out. We're able to drill down from any query that has the URL field, so it doesn't have to just be an invoice. If you're in, say, a journal entry batch and you have an invoice, as you're drilling down, then you can actually go and see the invoice from there also due to the drill down feature in Spreadsheet Server. Some of the uses of these very few queries is we have the weekly reporting by pay group, and that will be on the next slide. We also have an invoice audit by batch. We ended up having to have an employee that was a temp employee, and she was not populating some of the fields, so the manager just asked for an audit query so that she could make sure that everything was going in correctly every night. Before she had that, she would just actually have to go into every single batch and go, I think she had to drill into maybe 4 panels in Oracle for each invoice just to be sure. With this, it's just one query, and it shows every invoice in that batch. We have internal and external auditors. It used to take hours upon hours to pull invoices for auditors. Now they actually get to go in. They can select all the invoices they want, either by supplier, supplier number, dollar amount, invoice number, whatever they want to, and then they can actually see the invoices also. Obviously, SharePoint is locked down, so only the people that have access to see these invoices are able to do that. And so without having to pull hard copies from file cabinets and then refile them after they have been done with them. And, you know, again, every time you're pulling stuff and putting things back, you have there's a potential for some errors or misfiling. Then the last thing I said was a subquery from GL accounts and cost center queries, where if somebody's just querying on a cost center an account, and then they get down to where the actual charges are, and it's an invoice and it has the URL, they can actually just go ahead and just look at the invoice right from there. So there's never, it's pretty much, you just have access to it as soon as it happens. Okay. So now the next slide will show the one of the biggest benefits was our weekly payables report, and this was all built off of weekly payable query that I wrote. Our people wanted to see it by pay group, and they wanted to see it by week, and then we also have where they do it by quarter. Well, this is really good for people because they can actually look at, obviously I had to redact a lot of things, but they can actually just keep on looking, like, and say miscellaneous happened to be 44,000, whatever that says, 118, I think. And every other week there was like $0 or $10 or, you know, then all we have to do is to go into Spreadsheet server and then drill down off of that. So what I did was I just right-click on the actual dollar amount and go to Spreadsheet server, drill down, and then what comes up is at the top of the screen. I know this is hard to see, but it will show what comprises that $44,118. So most of that invoice was, and I really can't see this at all, was 40,000 or something. It was the second one. So what happens, it shows me what the URL is. So again, all I have to do is right-click, and I can say, show me attached image. That's what I named the query, was attached image. As soon as I hit attached image, then you will see this other block, which I called ABCDE company, and that's the actual image from SharePoint. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how we get that URL into Oracle, because again, you know, the whole basis of actually being able to view the image is to actually get the URL in the attached documents in Oracle. So there's Spreadsheet server has an Oracle write-back, and when you have the Oracle write-back, you have a builder and a loader. What comes from the builder is you have to have the person's responsibility. It has to be an accounting man, a finance person that has access to enter invoices in, and then their so you have to have their responsibility in their user name, and then from supplier, like, and it's almost exactly how you'd be entering into Oracle itself. So these are just the fields. Once you have that entered, you just generate a loader, which is this next little block, and I crossed out a lot of that too, but I just wanted to show you that from the builder, we see that, and I know you can't see it, but there's just a few things that will show up, and I'll explain that a little bit later when we get to the part where we're going into Oracle. But for now, what we have loaded is we get a file from the SharePoint people every day, and we just load in the invoice number. They give us the invoice number, the supplier number, and the next two fields are just what we're actually putting in for descriptions in Oracle, and then the last one is the URL, and that all comes from the file that gets generated from SharePoint every morning. Okay, and then the next slide will actually show you, you notice that this invoice number, I think it's 386, whatever. So what I did was I went into Oracle to show you that if you go into the invoice workbench, then all you have to do is query up that invoice number, and if you do view attachments, then that from supplier and image and SharePoint, we're all on the builder, all on the, loader. That's what you chose to put there. So we just chose image and SharePoint and sequence 10. So, you know, those are just what you choose to put into there. And so then if you clicked on the other source tab, it would actually show the URL. And then what happens is you can go to Open Document, and as soon as you open Document, then it goes right out to SharePoint to that URL and shows you the image of the actual invoice. And so that is pretty much like I tried to start from the beginning to the end of how we made our payments and our invoice imaging process much more electronic, and where people could actually just view the invoices instead of trying to go find them in file cabinets when they needed to.
Kathy, can you answer a question for the group and just let us know how many folks you have that are using that write-back functionality? Do you have very many users doing that?
No, so what the users do it are the accounting manager and the staff accountant, and only one person will usually use it at a time. They just, because really we're just taking the flat file and then we're just copying and pasting. I am going to eventually get that where I just take it and put it in a process and don't have to have them copy and paste into the builder, but they just do it once a day and they're done.
Okay. And how about for reporting for Spreadsheet Server? How many people do you have using Spreadsheet Server?
Oh, I don't know how many licenses. I think we have the plant manager, the CFO, 3 finance. I'd say maybe 6 people that actually go into it, but the query, like for the work in process and all that, they don't actually have licenses. That is just run from the profile scheduler. Mm-hmm. So that's not really an interactive one. It could be if they wanted to, but I don't believe we have a license for them right now.
Okay. So, yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Caitlin, would you like to take us through how Spreadsheet Server works?
Sure, absolutely. So I'll go ahead and share my desktop with you, and your screen should transition to an Excel spreadsheet. We'll walk through some of the great features that Kathy showcased in her presentation. So again, we have over 4,500 companies using this tool, 75,000 users worldwide that all certainly see the benefit in having real-time data in Excel. Not only in the Oracle space can we do real-time reporting, we can also do write-back. So as you can see, you can have the benefits of working in Excel go both ways, both pulling data from the database and writing back to it. Our product does not require a server, so there's no server in Spreadsheet Server. It's serving data directly to and from the spreadsheet into Oracle and out of Oracle. So what that means is that you can build reports in Excel like this one, open it up, change a period, and it's updating with live numbers. So again, you build your reports one time in Excel, and from that point forward, every time you need to see the updated numbers, all you do is open the spreadsheet, whether you're changing the period or the department, it's updating with real-time data dynamically. So that's a huge benefit. Having lots of live data in Excel is wonderful for clients. It allows them to do all of their reporting with the click of a button. But what's even more important than that, as Kathy stated, was the visibility and the ability to look at the details behind the numbers. So you can drill down in these spreadsheets to see that underlying detail very easily. So by clicking on that magnifying glass, I can immediately drill down and look at detailed balances. I can sort these in ascending or descending order, or maybe group them by department to group and subtotal those balances. I can also continue that drill down process to journal entry detail. So I can drill back to the journal entries, and again, it's real time, so as soon as the journal entry is posted, you can see it right away within this window. You'll notice I'm drilling down in the category of sales invoices, so if I want to drill right back to that invoice image, as Kathy said, I can drill right back to the invoice image as well. And that's all without leaving the spreadsheet. I can even do things like a multi-cell drill down. So if I wanted to compare actual to budget, I can drill down on 2 columns. And in the drill down window, take a look at not only those detailed balances, but also a variance to compare the two. And you can really build any type of report with Spreadsheet Server, so you're not limited to financials like P&L or maybe a branch consolidation. You can also build reports that are looking outside of the general ledger. So you can build dashboards where we're looking at maybe accounts receivable, sales, inventory, all in the same spreadsheet. Building reports is very easy with Spreadsheet Server, so I'm just going to showcase that by building a quick spreadsheet for you. I'm going to open up my Build a Template wizard, which you have both with the Spreadsheet Write-Back and with Spreadsheet Server. So you have this very easy Build a Template wizard that you can click on. It's going to set up those dynamic formulas in the spreadsheet for you. So we'll showcase a Spreadsheet Server formula, pulling data from Oracle. I'll select over here on the left side of the screen my GL formula to pull a value from the general ledger. And then here in the center of the screen, I don't have to be a technical whiz. I can just identify some very simple accounting parameters to determine what I'd like to pull into the report. So things like my balance type, whether I want to look at actual or budget. I would select the year that I'd like to look at in the report to get started. The format in which I'd like to see the data by period, quarter, year-to-date, life-to-date, or range. I would select my starting period. We'll say maybe period 4. My account segments can be placed on the row or the column. So again, I have complete control of the design of the report. And I can use these nice lookup windows to select things like what company I'd like to look at. We'll select company 1. Department I'm going to leave as an asterisk, which is a wildcard, so we'll look at all departments. And then I'll use a range of accounts. So we'll look at accounts 4,000 through 4,200, just to get started. And then from here, I just simply insert this formula into the spreadsheet. Spreadsheet Server does its magic. It sets up that formula in Excel. So it's doing all of the syntaxing and cell referencing for me, delivering this beautiful balance into the spreadsheet that I can immediately drill down on to take a look at the detail behind that number. And then from here, folks, I'm in the comfortable confines of the space that I'm familiar with, which is Excel. And so what am I going to use to build the report from this point? Just Excel functionality. So I'm going to take that live and dynamic formula that's sitting here in row 14. I'm going to copy that down a couple rows. And then in column A, I'm going to further narrow down my results. So we'll say I actually want to look at account 4220 and 4130 on these first 2 rows. You'll notice immediately when I make the changes to those account numbers, my spreadsheet is updating. On row 16, I'm going to further narrow down my range. So we're going to say I want to look at 4150 to 4200. Row 17, I want to see all accounts that begin with 6. Row 18, what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to use an Oracle hierarchy. So I'm going to go to my Locate Segment feature. I'm going to go to my hierarchies. We'll say I want to pull in total revenue. So I'm just going to select that Oracle parent, insert that into my spreadsheet, and it's going to pull in that hierarchy for me. And outside of Oracle hierarchies, you can also build hierarchies with Spreadsheet Server. Let's say you don't use parent-child accounts or parent-child hierarchies. You can build what are called segment lists with Spreadsheet Server. And these segment lists allow you to define a group of accounts, for example, and give that group a name that you can reference in the report. So I've got a list built for my cost of sales. And I've added all accounts that begin with 5, excluding account 5123 into that list. So in my spreadsheet, to reference that, I just type in COS. And then from here, I can just continue to use Excel to build the report. So now I'm going to use standard Excel features like AutoSum to summarize my column. We'll do a little formatting here. If I wanted to build out my report, I can copy this column across, maybe change the period here to look at periods 5, 6, and 7. Since period 7 isn't looking too good, I might change that to see a roll-up for the quarter. So we'll look at quarter 2. Maybe in column I want to see year-to-date information. So I'm going to change this to year-to-date, look at period 12. And then in column J, we'll look at budget instead of actual. So I'm going to change this from A to B and identify the budget that I'd like to see. So we'll give that just a second to update. But you guys can see that in a matter of a couple of minutes, although it's not a pretty spreadsheet, I'm well on my way to getting started. And all of the formatting, all of the stuff that you can use to make the spreadsheet pretty, that's all just Excel functionality. Okay, so getting from here to something that looks like my P&L is just adding some colors, adding some charts and graphs, maybe adding a little drop-down menu to toggle between the month and the department. But once you have your completed report, that's all you have to do. From that point forward, you just open it up and it's going to update with live numbers. Once you've built all of these amazing reports, what Spreadsheet Server also gives you the capability to do is dynamically distribute them. So once I have all my reports set up, my dashboards, my inventory reports, my order reports, my financial reports, I can then go to my Spreadsheet Server Distribution Manager to distribute these reports dynamically. So here in the Distribution Manager, what I can do is define how I'd like to send those reports out. You have a few different distribution methods you can use: email, file, save, print. If I chose email, this is going to link right up with my Outlook address book, so I can go ahead and come here to pull in my contacts. We'll say I want to send this to my accounting group. And then I would just compose the email like I would normally. So we'll say here's the report. I have some password protection options I can utilize. I can give it a password to be open or modified. I can also send the file in multiple file types, so as an Excel file, HTML, PDF, or Word. If I do convert to anything other than Excel, that file would be static, so no longer have drill down capability. And even if I'm sending it in Excel format, I can send a static copy by choosing Convert Formulas to Values, which does the same thing as Excel's copy-paste special. And then from here, I can modify the report based on who I'm sending it to. So if I'm sending this to accounting and they need the P&L, but they need it for department maybe 400, and it's currently looking at all departments, what I can do is I can say I want to modify the P&L. I'm going to modify cell N14, which holds the value for department, and change this to 400. So what this will do at the time of distribution is push this value into cell N14 and convert the report to look at that department. I can also specify which worksheet I'd like to send. So we'll say I want to send the P&L only to this group, and then I'm going to push that line out to Excel and continue to build my distribution list. So it put that line in my distribution list, and now I can go back and say, you know, I not only want to send this to accounting, but I also want to send this off to my channel partner team. And so for these guys, I want to send them the same report, but I want to send it to them for department 500. And these guys, I not only want to send the P&L, I also want to send the branch consolidation. So I'm going to add another report and push that second line out to Excel. We can also send reports out to a shared file location. So I can browse out to my Y drive and push this right into, we'll say, Jackie's folder. And we'll say Jackie's not in finance. She doesn't need any of these reports, but Jackie needs a cost of sales report and an order information report. so I'll push that last line out to Excel for Jackie. So I built my distribution list. My list has 3 lines. We have folks like Trader Joe's who send reports out to 400 stores, so their list has 400 lines. But you build this once, and it's saved within your workbook. And then from that point forward, when I need to send these reports out, all I have to do is hit distribute. And at that point in time, everyone on that list receives a customized report for them. And if you do have a list that's 400 lines long, you may want to schedule it. And so distribution also gives you a scheduling application that you can utilize called the Profile Scheduler. And in this scheduling application, what you can do is you can set up the reports to run on an automated schedule. So I can schedule reports to go out starting, we'll say today, we want them to go out at 6 p.m., and I want them to go out weekly on Wednesday at 6. So when I run this schedule, every Wednesday at 6 p.m., everyone on that list will receive the reports that I've specified. So Distribution Manager is a very easy and efficient way to get all of these lovely reports out to everyone in your organization that needs to see them. So we just wanted to give you a general overview of Spreadsheet Server Distribution Manager. Again, Spreadsheet Write Back, same idea, allowing you to build a template and write back to Oracle. So you certainly have that option as well. So Caitlin, at this point, I'm going to pass it back. Oh, yep, is there a question?
Sorry. Yeah, I was just going to ask a couple questions. The first one is about the installation and how long that implementation process is. Do you want to take that, or do you want me to?
You can take it. Go for it.
Okay. So the installation timelines are very short and sweet. It really just takes about an hour, hour and a half to get the ribbon installed for Spreadsheet Server and to get the configuration done. And from that point on, it's really just going through some short training to get you up to speed on how to use the products. It is not considered a major project to implement Spreadsheet Server or Write Back. Usually within about a week's time of doing the install, the training is completed and you have some base reports started. So it's usually very short and sweet. It usually doesn't even make an IT department's project board. It's usually very, very quick. And there's another question about the need for a server. And although the name sort of implies that there's a server that's needed for Spreadsheet Server, it really just means that we're serving data into Excel. There is no server component at all to use Spreadsheet Server. It is really just that add-in to Excel with a TCP/IP connection back to the Oracle database. And do we have any other questions that we'd like to cover today? Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions come through. So with that, thank you all very much for attending today. Caitlin, you want to go to the last slide for me, please, and it'll just show our website and contact information. So should you have additional questions after the presentation today, after the webinar, please feel free to reach out to me at my email address, or you can call me on the phone number listed, or you can head out to the website and look for some information there as well. Once again, we appreciate you being here with us today, and we hope you all have a great day.